Hello dancers, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to Twin Talks Ballet, your place on the internet for practical guidance on how to flourish in your training and career as a ballet dancer. Whether I'm covering technique tips, practical guidance for auditions or career advice, or mindset strategies like I'm going to talk about today, I'm really passionate about helping dancers get to an optimal mental and physical performance state. Today, I'm going to be sharing, as you can see from the title, 5 tips for how to adopt a healthier mindset as a dancer. Now, before I get into this, I do want to say that the term healthier is extremely subjective. And so I want to use that subjectivity to its advantage, or to our advantage rather, by posing a question to you at the beginning of this video, which is, what would it look like for you to really flourish as a dancer? In other words, what would a healthier mindset look like for you in terms of how that healthier mindset would help you to flourish, perhaps rather than just cope or get by? Without further ado, let's move on with the rest of the points. So the first point I want to share with you guys is to make a daily practice of objectivity and practicing awareness. This is the foundation for the rest of the points I'll be sharing, because practicing objectivity, it's the practice of taking a step back after you have an initial reaction to any sort of stimulus. How many of you guys relate to this? Your teacher walks by, you're taking bar, and they kind of look like they're considering all the students and then, or the dancers, and then all of a sudden they get to you and they just kind of like look away and walk away. And then you can have this momentary reaction of like, are you ignoring me? Do you not like me? You can have a reaction, but practicing objectivity in that moment would look like kind of pausing mentally within yourself and asking yourself, is that the only way to see it? What's another way I can interpret that would be more helpful for me and my purposes in doing this class? What is the outcome you're looking for? What is the experience you're looking to have? And what perspective, if you were to take a moment and to assess what perspective is best in line with that, that would be the practice of objectivity and then thoughtfully responding to the stimulus rather than being at the effect of it by just being reactionary and then going with the first perspective that comes to mind, a perspective that could lead to paranoia, self-doubt, looking for things to be insecure about, like, what did they see that they didn't like? Like, what's wrong with me? Do they not like me? Do they have a problem? What perspective is causing me to feel this way? Is that perspective helpful? Is that perspective accurate? How might someone else see this? And if you really do come to the point where, because I'm very passionate about like being honest with your emotions, I'm not advocating for emotional suppression here at all, but sometimes I think we all know that we can have emotional reactions that maybe someone else who's experiencing the exact same situation, they're not reacting that way. So it's a reminder to practice objectivity and adaptability in what perspective you choose, just even by asking, how might someone else see this? And what's a more helpful way to see it? The second point I want to follow up with is, even though we can make great strides towards that very helpful objectivity, we can actually never be 100% totally objective and take in reality exactly as it is. That's just actually not possible for the human mind. The reason why that is actually encouraging to me, and the reason I want to share it with you, is because personally, it frees me from really believing that I can see myself with total objectivity. So for instance, the way I apply this is when I'm dancing and I'm personally looking in the mirror, if I'm having a day where I'm just feeling very inclined to look at myself and judge what I'm seeing and really be dissatisfied from it, I take a moment to remember that I actually can't see myself clearly. I'm literally incapable of seeing myself with total objectivity and clarity. So that also frees me from feeling so stuck in that perspective. I realize that I can choose my perspective. I can change the way I'm interpreting what I'm seeing. And even that interpretation, it doesn't mean that interpretation is totally untrue. It's just a different way of seeing a little piece of the puzzle, a piece that I would benefit much more from looking at. This point really involves a word that you probably heard me say a lot in my first 2, which is choosing, or the power to choose. What I want to say about this is, yes, we do have the power to choose our perspective, to choose our self-talk, to choose how we respond to thoughts that come into our head, to choose how we are going to interact with the emotions we're feeling. You do have the opportunity to choose these things. And yes, there are things in life that we are technically at the effect of, the pandemic, for instance. But we can take this as, okay, I'm just going to accept, like that just is what it is. What am I going to do to have the experience I want to have here? What am I going to do to create meaning and meaningful results out of the time that we're in? You can point your perspective towards constantly answering that question, what am I going to do about it? Rather than, gosh, I'm just going through this, it just sucks and I just can't. There's like a time for venting. There is so a time for that. There's a time to also feel what you're feeling, and it's like true, and you just have to feel it, you just have to get it out. I'm not suggesting that you just need to like throw on rose-colored glasses and just look at the world with total positivity, or like pretend that nothing bad ever happens or exists. You get to choose how you interact with these things. And you get to choose what you're going to do about it. You get to take the power back into your own hands and remember you choose to be there. And perhaps that might inspire empowerment in you or gratitude rather than obligation and demotivation. Now, before I go on to my next point, I really want to just emphasize that if you guys are really connecting with these points I'm sharing, if you're like, man, that sounds great. I would love to have more objectivity in how I see myself when I look in the mirror. I would love to feel encouraged and confident and joyful as I go out there and audition so I can really present myself well and be excited rather than so nervous and scared to put myself out there. If you're like, man, I really want to adopt a healthier mindset as a dancer. I know that could benefit me. I know I can dance better. I know I can feel better. I know I can just be happier. If I were to overcome some self-doubt, limiting beliefs, insecurities, I want you to know that this is what I do as a mindset coach for ballet dancers. And the tools I'm sharing with you today are really a few of the foundational concepts I use in my coaching practice, which, by the way, I developed coming from the background of dancing professionally and understanding how important and how needed it is to have mental support in this craft that is incredibly challenging, both physically and mentally. We all know, I think, as dancers, how much our minds dictate our experience, how much what's going on in our head actually influences our ability to perform well or not well. I think we all know this experientially, but I want to ask you, have you gotten support on this? What are you doing about it? Is just, thinking about this stuff really helping you, or are you really tired of struggling with self-doubt, insecurities, a lot of stress, crumbling under pressure, a lot of mental issues that many dancers face, especially those who are pursuing a professional career? And if that's you, I want you to know there really is support for you. Whether you work with me or another professional, I really do believe that it is so important to have mental support in your journey as a dancer. And again, that's what I do as a mindset coach. So if you're interested in exploring what mindset coaching could do for you, click the link below to my website, kirstenkemp.com. You can apply for a free consultation where you and I will discuss where you want to go, how you want to feel when you're dancing, what are your goals, and what's blocking you currently from a mental perspective from getting there. And we'll discuss what coaching could do for you, how the coaching process works, and if we both feel we're a good fit for each other, then we'll discuss next steps in what program I would recommend. Lastly, I want to encourage you guys, in order to have a healthier mindset as a ballet dancer, I want to encourage you to consistently and daily set intentions that are in alignment with your values. So this first requires that you get in touch with what's important to you. In other words, your values. So you can ask yourself, in order to do this, what's important to me about dancing? It could be expression. It could be experiencing joy. It could be community. It could be achievement. It could be excellence. Whatever those words are that come up for you when you ask yourself, what's important to me about, for instance, going to ballet class, or what's important to me about this performance, you get to ask yourself and get in touch with what's important to you about doing this thing. And then secondly, then you also get to just set very simple intentions for how you're going to live out that value. In other words, what this could look like is you ask yourself, what's important to me about going to ballet class today? It's just experiencing joy. or experimentation. You know, I've been inside a lot. I'm ready to go out there and just feel joy in my body. So that's what's important to you. That's your value. Second, set an intention by asking yourself, how am I going to choose to live that out in this ballet class? How am I going to intentionally experience that feeling of joy? It could be, I'm going to just listen a little bit more deeply and intently to the music today and see how I can really feel that rhythm in my body and express a little bit more freely. And that's what really brings me joy. And what this does from a psychological perspective is it sets your mind on like a railroad track towards the reward you're telling it to seek. And subconsciously, you can actually be training your mind or setting it to task on helping you to get to that reward, to the point where you're actually changing your mind's filters through which it looks in the mirror and sees yourself dancing, or it just can totally change the way you're interpreting your situation in that class. It can be really, really amazing what happens when you set your mind to task like that. And so I'm really excited for you guys to try it out for yourselves. Reach out. I would be happy to serve you. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was tremendously helpful to you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to like this video if you did enjoy it. It'll send you more videos to your homepage like this, perhaps some of my videos, and then it will also signal to other dancers like, hey, you might like this kind of content too. So if you want to do some community service both for other dancers and also help yourself, give it a like. I would also greatly appreciate it. It really supports this channel. So you guys, thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.